Good evening and welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for the latest updates on the British royal family. I'm your host, bringing you today's most important royal story. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from Royal Daily Report. Let's not make this softer than it is. On a cold November morning in 2025, the British royal family did something they have never done before. They went on record. Not through helpers, not through newspapers, not through palace sources, but directly on camera. At exactly 7 in the morning, a video was posted online. It showed Prince William, the person who will one day be king, sitting in what looks like his private office at Adelaide Cottage. There was no fancy royal background, no royal decorations, just a desk lamp, a serious look, and words that shocked the entire world. And next to him, quiet but clearly there, sat Catherine. William didn't start slowly. He didn't give background information. He didn't explain anything first. He started with a statement. Meghan and Harry are finished with me and Catherine. That wasn't just emotion. That was him cutting them off completely. Then came the sentence that changed everything. The king has given us full authority, and we will act quickly in Parliament. Let's be clear about what you just heard. That was the future king announcing that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were no longer being treated as family, but as a problem that needed government action. And then, without stopping, William said the word the royal family avoids at all costs. Epstein. That single word changed this from royal family drama into a serious emergency. And within minutes, the whole world understood this wasn't just a message. It was a line being drawn. And once a royal family draws a line publicly, there is no taking it back. Before we continue with this shocking story, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report. Hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss any updates on this developing situation. Now, here's where people get this wrong. This was not William losing his temper. This was William being given power. Because when he said full authority, he wasn't lying and he wasn't speaking from anger. He was speaking about real constitutional power. Behind this video is a reality the palace has tried to handle quietly for over a year. King Charles III is sick. Cancer doesn't just make a body weak, it makes you unable to deal with chaos. Sources inside the palace describe a king who could handle tradition, government work, and diplomacy, but could no longer deal with endless damage to the family's reputation coming from California. Interview after interview, book after book, streaming deals built on royal family problems, and it didn't stop even while Charles was getting treatment. So what happens when a king who is currently ruling can no longer protect the institution? He passes power to someone else. And that's exactly what this video showed. William wasn't asking for permission. He wasn't just threatening consequences. He was telling the public that the crown had moved from just dealing with problems to taking action against them. Catherine's presence mattered just as much as William's words. She wasn't there to make him seem softer. She was there to make the move look official and right. This was unity. This was determination. This was the Wales family telling the country and Parliament that the time of just absorbing Sussex problems was over. And when a royal family stops absorbing damage, it starts cutting people loose. Timing is everything, and this timing was on purpose. By late 2025, the royal family was facing 3 problems at the same time. First, public trust was dropping. Surveys showed younger British people increasingly didn't care about the crown or actively disliked it. With Sussex stories repeatedly mentioned as proof, the family was broken. Second, Parliament was already getting restless. Discussions about security privileges, whether titles still made sense, and taxpayer-funded protection were quietly happening. The Sussex situation wasn't just theoretical anymore. It was becoming a matter for lawmakers. And third, and this matters most, the king's health changed the risk calculation. When Charles was healthy, the strategy was containment. When Charles became sick, containment became dangerous. Sources described late-night phone calls between father and son. Calls where Charles, exhausted, asked for unity, only to wake up to another headline, another interview, another complaint, repackaged to make money. So William made a decision, not as a brother, not as a son, but as the man preparing to inherit a crown already under pressure. This video was not about anger. It was about survival. And once survival becomes the priority, family feelings become irrelevant. Because from this moment forward, Harry and Meghan were no longer treated as distant royals. They were treated as active threats to the family's reputation. And that is the most dangerous position anyone can have inside a royal family. Stay with Royal Daily Report as we break down what led to this historic moment. And if you haven't already, subscribe now to stay informed on all royal developments. Let's destroy the fairy tale right now. This did not start with Meghan, and it did not start with Netflix. The break between Prince William and Prince Harry began years earlier when the reality of who would carry the crown and who would live in its shadow became impossible to ignore. William was born to be controlled and managed. Harry was born to be protected. And as adults, that imbalance turned into resentment. By the mid-2010s, insiders say William was already carrying the full mental weight of being future king: discipline, holding back, staying silent. Meanwhile, Harry still had what William would never have again: freedom, the ability to speak without thinking, to disappear, to act without consequences. That difference matters. When Harry found worldwide praise through the Invictus Games, palace helpers noticed something small but dangerous. Not jealousy, but difference in direction. William wasn't jealous of attention. He was worried about unpredictability. Then came Meghan. According to accounts later confirmed in Harry's own book, Spare, William directly warned his brother that Meghan's speed, intensity, and Hollywood ways might be too much for the royal system. That wasn't control. That was assessing risk. Harry didn't hear concern. He heard interference. From that moment on, the relationship changed. And by the time Spare was published in 2023, detailing physical fights, name-calling, and private arguments, William's trust was gone. Not damaged, gone. Because in royal terms, there is no greater betrayal than making money off private family conflict. And once that line is crossed, there is no brotherhood left to save, only exposure. Let's be absolutely clear here, because this is where stories get dangerous. When William mentioned Epstein, he did not accuse Meghan Markle of a crime. What he did was far more calculated. He pointed out reputational contamination. The Epstein reference goes back to a 2021 legal filing connected to Prince Andrew's lawsuit, where someone making accusations tried to name Meghan in a request for testimony. That request went nowhere. No testimony, no charges, no evidence. But here's the problem the royal family sees. Once a name appears in that circle, especially in the digital age, it never fully goes away. And for an institution already suffering from Andrew's downfall, that closeness alone is toxic. William's words were chosen carefully. Meghan's link to Epstein, not involvement, not wrongdoing, link. In royal language, that is enough, because the crown does not wait for guilt. It responds to risk. By bringing up that connection publicly, William did two things at once. 1. He justified institutional action. 2. He forced the Sussexes into a defensive position. And suddenly, this was no longer about family pain or emotional truth. It was about whether Harry and Meghan had become too expensive to protect. And once that question is asked inside a royal family, history shows the answer is rarely kind. Royal Daily Report will continue to follow this story closely. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel for all the latest updates and analysis. Here's the part the Sussex side underestimated. The public doesn't stay angry forever. It gets tired. By the time William's video dropped, Britain wasn't reacting emotionally anymore. It was deciding. Polls moved fast, and they moved strongly. A clear majority of the UK sided with Prince William, not because he was nicer, but because he looked in control. And control in times of chaos always wins. Support for removing Harry and Meghan's titles increased. Younger audiences, once sympathetic, started not caring entirely, blaming Sussex drama for making the royal family feel unserious, unstable, and irrelevant. Even worse, the conversation shifted from "Are Harry and Meghan right?" to "Why are they still involved at all?" That's not outrage, that's expiration. And once public patience runs out, institutions stop explaining themselves. They act. If William was the voice of enforcement, Catherine was the proof this wasn't impulsive. She didn't interrupt. She didn't soften the language. She didn't blink. Her presence told Parliament, the press, and the public one thing. This decision had been discussed calmly, privately, and thoroughly. Sources described Catherine as the internal brake system, editing fury into discipline, emotion into structure. No insults, no dramatics, just institutional defense. And that restraint paid off. While Meghan's statements focused on healing language and emotional framing, Catherine's silence projected stability. In a royal family, that contrast is deadly because people don't rally behind who feels more, they rally behind who holds the line. And Catherine held it without saying a word. Here's where fantasy ends and reality begins. This is no longer about interviews or feelings. This is about mechanisms. Parliament doesn't fight, it processes. Security privileges came under review. Title relevance entered formal discussion. Equity audits appeared under the language of fairness, not punishment. And the comparison no one wanted to say out loud became unavoidable. Prince Andrew. Once the Crown decided Andrew was too toxic to defend, status followed consequence. William knows that history, and so does Parliament. This is why the Sussexes' response options are shrinking. Another book looks like revenge. A lawsuit reinforces conflict. Silence allows momentum to harden. For the first time, Harry and Meghan aren't controlling the narrative. They're reacting to it. And institutions always win reaction wars. This is Royal Daily Report, bringing you comprehensive coverage of this historic royal crisis. Subscribe now to stay updated on every development in this ongoing story. Which brings us to the moment this story was always heading toward. Every royal family reaches a moment where it must decide what it is willing to lose. Not who it loves, not who it forgives, but what it protects. This was that moment. Not because of one interview, not because of one accusation, not even because of one name spoken aloud, but because the damage stopped being manageable. William did not confront Harry and Meghan because he wanted to. He did it because the Crown could no longer afford absorption. Absorption breeds rot. Confrontation forces clarity, and clarity is what this institution chose. Now the machinery is moving quietly, methodically. Titles may fall, access may vanish, and history will record this not as a family fight, but as a transfer of power from endurance to enforcement. As King Charles III watches from the shadows of treatment rooms and twilight reign, the heir has made his position clear. The royal family will not bleed quietly anymore. The story doesn't end here, because once a crown decides to protect itself, the next chapter is never loud. It's cold, it's procedural, and it changes everything. That's all for today's report from Royal Daily Report. This is a developing story, and we will continue to bring you updates as they happen. Thank you for watching Royal Daily Report, your #1 source for royal news and analysis. If you found this report informative, please like this video. Share it with others who need to know, and most importantly, subscribe to Royal Daily Report and hit that notification bell so you never miss our coverage. I'm your host, and we'll see you in the next report. Stay informed, stay connected with Royal Daily Report.